In this video, we're going to talk about double exposure simulations with the Multipass mode of HyperLith. So if we try to print this pattern here, it's basically a bunch of lines, but one of the lines is broken with a gap. And if we want good contrast for the lines, we would use something like a dipole illumination. But that is not going to resolve the gap in the line because there's no light coming in from these angles in the y direction. So we would need kind of a C-quad or quadrupole illumination in order to resolve that. But once we do that, we lose the contrast that we had in the lines. So the idea behind double exposure is that you would have two masks. One of the masks is just the lines, and the other mask is adding a bright area to form this gap. So and then you could have a different source for each of the two components of the aerial image. So to go to do a multipass or a double exposure, use this multipass mode. In the multipass mode, now you would add a pass, a second pass. So this first pass we'll call lines, and the second pass we'll call gap. Save this under a new name. So we'll call this 2pass. And what you have now is a little combo box, or you could just double click here and pick which one, which is the current one you're editing. But if we edit the lines, you see that we have now number 1 mask technology and number 0 mask technology. We have number 0 mask pattern, and if I choose the gap, we're on number 1 mask pattern. So we can have 3 or 2 separate mask technologies, 2 separate mask patterns, and 2 separate stepper models to form the aerial image. And then we also have a weight which we can assign. So when we create the second pass, we renamed it gap, we're going to use the same mask technology, which means the same scanner, the same machine. And then the second mask, for convenience, the first mask blocks are copied over into the second mask blocks. So we can just set a background, set the first block to be a background. So we go 0 to 3 times pitch and ly. Then this box here, whatever that one is the only other one we need. We get rid of those. So this second, or mask pattern number 1, has this pattern. And now let's switch and edit mask pattern 0, and we'll get rid of this, and we just have lines. So when we refresh the live view, it's showing us both the, well, this is because we're on we're editing the first pass mask. We're seeing the first pass mask here, and we're seeing the aerial image for pass 0, and then this is the composite aerial image. Let's go see what we get if we switch this to the gap. So we're now looking at this mask pattern, and we refresh live view, and this is not printing the way we want. We want a bright area here. So let's fix these two things. So we need to change our source here, and we need to change our source on the first pass. So let's work on the first pass first. This pass wants to see just dipole illumination. So now we have really good contrast in the first component of the image, which is the lines, and we're going to put a bright area here. So let's go to the second pass, refresh live view, and so that's showing this is not printing right. We want it to be dark here and bright in the middle. It's just sub-resolution, but I think our source is not optimized, so we'll change the source here. This is already C-quad, which we probably need to print that. But we'll change the inner, and we'll open up the pole angle and see if this prints better. It's still printing dark there. Mask pattern. See if we make it a little bigger. Okay, it's starting to print a little better. And the other thing is, well, we need probably a little better contrast here. Let's make this even 80. Okay, that looks like a nice bright area. It's starting to thin this out, but we need to add more weight to this pass because this is not as bright as that high contrast line space. So on the Multipass tab here, we give a stronger weight, let's say 2 here. And now we're printing this. Let's dose to size. So when we dose to size, of course, it's using the composite aerial image. And it's using, this is not so clear, but it's using the first pass metrology points. So we've dosed to size here. Let's add a little more. And I think what we're going to do is we don't need so much resolution in the Y direction there. So what we'll do is, well, that looks pretty good. So when we press the simulate button, the results are going to show the results from both passes. So this is the mask, and under the first pass, so the mask 1, near fields, and the aerial image, and the mask 2, near fields, aerial image. In this case, there's no focus variable, but we could, we have the option to say use the same focus on the secondary passes as the first passes, and it'll merge them together. And finally, the imaging tab now. So there's your 2 passes, and then they get combined, and now you have the combined image. And what's kind of cool is you can set up the weight as a variable. And that's running all the resist cases, which we didn't need to because it's doing a focus exposure matrix through focus and through dose on the resist. And we'll just look at the aerial image of the combined image, composite image, at best focus at the different weights. Something's wrong there. Defocus 0. Oh, we wanted to go 2 to 3 on the weight. We'll turn off the focus and dose variation. And look at the aerial image as weight increases. So as we increase the weight of the second pass, we get these images here. And of course you can have more than 2 passes, and you could even use a different mask technology for the second pass. If you wanted to use EUV to print, so you could say EUV rigorous here, and then use an EUV scanner, so 0.33 NA, and the pattern's the same. That's going to use, let's see, this mask technology set up to use Stack Kirchhoff. We could change to trig. So the first pass is printed, and now, of course, we don't need a weight of 3, so we'll use a weight of 1. You can see it's very bright, so we probably could use a weight of 1/2 or something maybe. And then we need to dose to size. And fem control, find nominal dose. Maybe a weight of 2. 1.5, here we go. And now we have a really nice clip there. That's using EUV. Of course, if you're using EUV, you might want to consider just printing the whole thing in one shot. Or sometimes using EUV for a cut mask is nice because most of the mask is dark and you can avoid the EUV multilayer mirror defects, or you have a higher chance of not running into a mirror defect if you have a dark mask, which is mostly dark and only a few points of light. Anyways, that's how you do double exposure using the multipass mode of HyperLith.